Many years ago, in a bustling city in Ibadan, lived a man named Tunde, a well known civil engineer and devoted family man. Tunde was a good man and the kind of husband every woman prayed for. He was gentle, always home by 6 p.m., and never forgot his wife's birthday. He was married to Busola, a calm, God fearing, and intelligent woman. Busola was not only his wife, she was also his peace. She respected him, trusted him, and believed he could do nothing wrong. They had two children, attended church every Sunday together, and prayed together before sleeping each night. Their marriage was peaceful. Well, so peaceful according to his best friend Johnson. Johnson was a bachelor in his mid 30s who believed that marriage was a trap created by women to slow men down. He was loud, funny, and full of dangerous advice. Tunde and Johnson had been friends since secondary school. Johnson knew everything about Tunde. From the day he met Busola to the day he proposed, he was even the best man at their wedding. But lately, Johnson had started preaching a strange gospel. Guy, I don't understand you. So you mean you will never touch another woman apart from Busola? Do you want to die of boredom? Tunde laughed. Why should I? I have all I need at home. Johnson scoffed. I beg, leave that thing. Don't you know variety is the spice of life? You just need one side chick to refresh your engine once in a while. Tunde always brushed it off. He loved his wife and he also loved his life. But Johnson's words were like water dripping on stones, small but steady. Tunde was human, and little by little, Johnson's words began to enter his ears. He started small. He began to notice some women at his workplace. He noticed the secretary who always complimented his cologne. However, he tried to overlook it until one Friday evening. Busola had traveled to Lagos for a women's conference, and the kids were at their aunt's place. Tunde was home alone when Johnson called. Guy, I'm at one cool spot around Ring Road. Come out and relax small now. At first, Tunde said no, but the house was too quiet, and his phone kept blinking with Johnson's messages. So he finally agreed and headed out. He got to the lounge. Music was playing, drinks were flowing, and ladies were laughing too loudly. Tunde felt awkward at first. He didn't like loud places or loud women. But then she walked in. Her name was Sandra. She was tall, gentle, and dressed in a fitted blue gown that moved like breeze on water. She wasn't like the others. She didn't laugh loudly or force herself into conversations. She just smiled, ordered a drink, and scrolled on her phone. Johnson leaned over and said, See that one. She is classy, not like these noisemakers. That's the kind of babe you need for a little variety. Just go and talk to her. Tunde shook his head. No, 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 no. I'm just admiring from afar. Johnson smiled. Guy, don't worry. I will help you open the door. You then decide whether to enter or not. Before Tunde could stop him, Johnson had already walked over to Sandra, whispered something to her, and then pointed at Tunde. Sandra looked up, smiled politely, and waved back. Tunde waved back too. That night, Tunde and Sandra talked. Not for long though, just small gist and small laugh before exchanging numbers. Tunde didn't call Sandra that night. He told himself it was a harmless conversation. She was just being polite and he was just admiring her beauty, nothing more. But the next day, as he sat at work trying to finish a proposal, her face kept appearing in his head like a flashback in a Nollywood movie. Her soft eyes and gentle smile. He shook his head. Tunde, behave yourself. By evening, he found himself typing a text message. Hi, this is Tunde from the lounge last night. I just wanted to say you look really nice yesterday. He stared at the message for 2 minutes, then pressed send. Sandra replied 5 minutes later. Thank you. You're not bad looking yourself. And that was all it took. What started as harmless chatting became daily conversations. Sandra was always available, always sweet, always calling him dear. She never asked about his wife and never judged. She simply gave him a kind of attention he felt starved enough to enjoy. The phone calls and messages soon graduated into physical meetups. Tunde told himself, It's just coffee. I'm not cheating. I'm just meeting a friend. He showed up, sat with her, laughed with her, and left feeling lighter. Then came another meetup, and another. However, by the third week, Tunde had crossed the line. It happened at a guest house on the outskirts of the town. He had gone there with a plan to discuss their situation and to set clear boundaries. But Sandra was in a short gown, her perfume soft, her voice even softer. Don't worry, she said. I'm not asking you to marry me. Just let's keep each other's company. Tunde didn't speak, and the silence was all the answer she needed. The moment he got home that night, Tunde couldn't look Busola in the eye. She served him dinner like always, checked if he took his blood pressure drugs, and told him his mother had called. But her love stung more than judgment. That night, he lay wide awake on the bed and prayed, God, please forgive me. This will be the last time. And he meant it because 2 days later, he sent Sandra a short message. I can't continue. I made a mistake. You are a great person, but I love my wife. Please understand. Sandra didn't reply immediately, and he took a deep breath of relief. Maybe she understood. Maybe she was mature. Maybe this nightmare was over. Until 10 p.m. that night, when she replied, Oh, so you finished with me now? Just like that? After everything? You think you can taste and disappear? I'm not that type. Tunde froze. He sent his reply immediately. What do you mean? Please don't start. Sandra replied, Start? I haven't even begun. And she was right. The next morning, a dispatch rider came to Tunde's office carrying a small cooler labeled Delivery for Mr. Tunde. He opened it, and inside was a bowl of steaming native soup, a note, and a picture of Sandra in a red dress. The note read, For my king, I cooked this with love. Miss you already. Tunde almost fell backwards from shock. His secretary smiled. Ah, sir, your wife really loves you. He laughed awkwardly. Yes, yes, she is very loving. From then on, Sandra began to text him non-stop. She would send him voice notes and photos of herself. Where are you? Are you alone? Do you miss me? She appeared at his office gate one evening as he was about leaving and waved at him from across the road. She even joined the gym near his house. One day, while he was buying suya, he heard a voice. You didn't tell me you liked pepper meat. Tunde turned, and there was Sandra, smiling like a cat that had just caught a fish. He dropped the suya and almost screamed. That night, Tunde couldn't breathe properly. He was sweating. His heart was racing. He called Johnson. Johnson, I am finished. What happened? That girl. She is everywhere. She is threatening my peace. Johnson laughed at first until Tunde told him everything. Omo, Johnson exclaimed. I told you to eat pepper soup now, not carry Jezebel from the river. Didn't you check her spiritual background? This is not funny, Johnson. I know. Calm down. You need to be smart now. This one I'm monitoring spirits with data on. Tunde sighed deeply. What do I do? Okay, relax, Johnson said. We will find a solution. By the next week, Tunde had lost weight, not from diet or gym, but from pure stress. You know the type of stress that the scripture described when it said, the wicked run when no man pursues them. Exactly that. Unfortunately for him, Busola had no idea. How could he even tell her? Every knock on his office door gave him a mini heart attack. Every call from an unknown number made his palm sweat. And when Busola looked him in the eye and asked, Are you okay? He would smile weakly and say, Yes, I'm just tired. But he was not okay, not even close, because Sandra was everywhere in his life, stalking him and shocking him with her presence. That Monday morning, Tunde arrived at work hoping to have a quiet day. But as he entered his office, his receptionist handed him a small decorated food pack. Sir, one woman dropped this for you this morning. She said she didn't want to disturb you directly. Tunde's chest tightened. He opened it and saw jollof rice, goat's meat, and a note that read, Don't stress too much today, baby. Let my food keep you smiling. Forever yours, Sandra. Tunde nearly fainted. On Tuesday, around lunch, he stepped outside to buy groundnuts. But as he turned, he saw her, Sandra. She was standing by a tree, smiling and holding a bottle of Coke. Hello, sugar. Tunde looked around nervously. What are you doing here? I missed you. You've been ignoring my messages. Sandra, I told you it is over. Leave me alone. But Sandra only smiled wider. You can say that, but your eyes are still talking to me. Tunde turned and ran back into the building. But behind him, she shouted playfully, I will see you tomorrow, my love. And oh, yes, she did. Because that Wednesday evening, Busola and Tunde attended midweek service together. They sat on the second row together and joined hands during worship. Tunde was singing peacefully when he suddenly felt something, a familiar scent. He turned, and right there in the third row, just behind them, was Sandra, dressed in a fiery red gown with red lipstick and red nails. She smiled at him, and Tunde nearly dropped the hymn book. Busola noticed. Are you okay? He nodded so quickly. Yes, yes, I'm okay. After service, Sandra walked past them slowly and whispered to Tunde, You are mine forever. You can't hide, not even in God's house. On Thursday, she called. Tunde didn't want to pick, but was tired of running. Her voice was cold when he answered. So, this is what you want, right? To treat me as if I'm mad. You think you can use me and dump me like tissue? Tunde swallowed hard. Please, I'm a married man. This can't continue. She eased. You should have thought about that before entering my bed, before calling me baby girl and eating from my pot. Tunde kept quiet. You think your wife won't find out? I'm only one text away from destroying your precious marriage. Tunde froze. Please don't do this. Please. Sandra laughed. You will hear from me soon. And then she hung up. That night, Tunde sat on the floor holding his head, crying silently. And that same night, he had a terrible dream. In his dream, Sandra was chasing Tunde in a wedding gown, shouting, I do, I do. He woke up panting with stifled scream. Luckily, he didn't wake Busola. At this point, Tunde knew he couldn't do this alone anymore. The next morning, he called Johnson at work. Guy, this guy is going to destroy me. Tunde shouted over the phone. Johnson yawned. What is it again? Do you know she followed me to church? She threatened to tell my wife. She is even in my dreams. Johnson sat up. Eh? Are you serious? Guy, I think you need to tell your wife at this point, though. Tunde shouted, Are you mad? My wife? She will bury me alive. Johnson shrugged. See, all die na die. It's either you die slowly from stress or die once and find peace. Pick one, because this Jezebel you are describing is very deadly. That evening, Busola brought his food to the sitting room as usual. She smiled and said, You look tired. Do you want me to massage your shoulders? Tunde looked at her, and his stomach turned with guilt. He couldn't take it anymore. He dropped his spoon, took her hand, and said in a shaking voice, Busola, I need to tell you something. Tunde held Busola's hand as if it was his last connection to life. She sat across from him and her eyes narrowed slowly. Talk, she said. Tunde gulped. He wished he could faint and disappear, but it was too late now. He had to face it. He closed his eyes and forced the words out. I cheated. There was silence. I met someone just once, but she won't leave me alone. Busola blinked. You what? Tunde knelt down immediately and began to shake like a nervous goat. I am a fool. I made a terrible mistake. It was nothing serious, just a small temptation. But now she is haunting me like a spirit. She shows up at my office, sends food, came to church. Church, Busola. She says if I don't come back to her, she will scatter everything. Busola looked at him as if she were watching a documentary. Then slowly, she stood up. Tunde's eyes widened. Please don't throw something at me, he pleaded. She didn't move for a long moment. Then she walked out of the room. Tunde waited. 10 minutes passed, 20 minutes, but she didn't return. He sat down, sweat soaking through his singlet. That night, Busola didn't say a word. She didn't shout or cry. She simply took her pillow and slept in the children's room for 2 days. Tunde was dying inside. On the third day, Busola called him into the living room and said, "Sit." He sat like a child waiting for discipline at school. She folded her arms. "You said she's stalking you." "Yes." "She knows where you work." "Yes." "She said she would expose everything." "Yes." Busola nodded slowly and then said something today never expected. "Good. Then let's deal with her." You want to fight her?" He stammered. "No, I can't stoop that low," Busola said calmly. "I want to end her games." Tunde stared in silence. She walked over and sat beside him. "I am your wife. Am I angry?" "Yes." "Hot?" "Yes, but I am also smart. I don't want this woman showing up at my children's school and calling me co-wife. If we don't finish her, she will finish us, and I don't want any of that." Tunde blinked. Do you forgive me?" Busola looked at him. "That is another story for another day. First, let's get her out of the picture." Later that night, Johnson came over and Tunde briefed him. When Busola walked in with her notepad, she said, "Gentlemen, let's plan." Johnson looked at Tunde and whispered, "Guy, your wife is cold." Busola ignored him and proceeded to lay out the plan like a detective. "We will bait her," Busola said. "Tunde will pretend he wants her back. He will set up a private meeting in a hotel. When she gets there, he will give her the kind of stare that will chase her back to her village." Johnson raised his hand. "What kind of scare?" Busola smiled. "Let's just say we are joining a sacrifice. Someone will play the ritualist." Tunde's mouth dropped open. "Wait, we are staging a ritual?" Busola nodded. "A fake one, just to show her that you are not ordinary. She wants madness, right? Well, let's give her deluxe witchcraft." Johnson clapped. "Ha! Madam, I like you." They set the date and the plan began. The next morning, Tunde called Sandra and said, "I've been thinking. I miss you." Sandra's voice lit up like a generator. "Baby, I knew you would come back." Tunde swallowed a laugh. "Let's meet. Elimu Hotel, room 14, tomorrow night." Sandra jiggled. "My Odogu, I'm coming hot." He hung up and whispered to himself, "Lord, I know I am a sinner, but tomorrow, help me act like a wizard one last time." By Friday, the stage was set. The room was dim, but everything was clear enough for the madness about to begin. Tunde sat on the edge of the bed in a black shirt, trying to look like a man who missed his side chick, but also trying not to sweat his soul out. Johnson was in the hotel bathroom, dressed like an occultic priest from an Asaba Nollywood film. A red robe, white chalk on his face, a cowtail in one hand, and a palm front tied around his wrist. Even today felt a chill when he saw him. "Johnson, are you sure you are not a real ritualist?" Tunde asked. Johnson scoffed. "Today, I am whatever will chase this girl far from Ibadan." Meanwhile, Busola sat outside in a car across the street watching the whole room on a live video feed from the hidden camera she had installed earlier. She had a pack of popcorn in her lap. This was better than Netflix. At exactly 8:07 p.m., the knock came. Knock, knock. Tunde opened the door slowly and forced a nervous smile. Standing there was Sandra, dressed in a fitted yellow dress with red lipstick and makeup shining like oil. "My Odogu," she said as she walked in. Tunde smiled. "You're welcome. I've missed you." He locked the door behind her. Sandra threw her bag on the table and turned to him with open arms. "No hug for your baby?" Tunde forced a hug. She held him tighter. "So you finally came to your senses?" "Yes," Tunde replied, faking a smile. "I'm sorry it took this long. Let's celebrate. Let me freshen up first." He slipped into the bathroom and whispered to Johnson, "She's ready. Please don't overdo it." Johnson adjusted his fake beard. "Go and hide behind the curtain. Just leave the rest to me." Tunde stepped out, smiling nervously. "Give me 1 minute," he said. "I'll be right back." He quickly moved behind the curtain. Then the light went off. Sandra blinked and stood up. Sunday, no answer. Suddenly, the bathroom door burst open with force, and Johnson stepped out. He was unrecognizable. He looked taller and terrifying. His red robe flowed behind him like a demon from the underworld. He raised his cowtail and thundered, "Ha ha ha ha! The sacrifice has entered." Sandra screamed, "Blood of Jesus!" Johnson banged his staff on the floor and roared, "The blood of the unfaithful shall speak." Then he blew white powder into the air. Behind the curtain, Tunde was choking from stifled laughter. Johnson continued, "You, spirit from the river, child of manipulation, today your soul shall be used for the terrestrial beings." Sandra jumped back. "Who are you?" Johnson shouted. "Bring the chicken." From the bathroom, he pulled out a tray with dead chicken, a small calabash, and red oil. Sandra screamed and tried to open the door, but it was locked. She ran to the window, locked too. "Don't kill me," Sandra begged. "I didn't know he was a ritualist. Please, don't sacrifice me." Johnson raised the cowtail at her. "We are not here to beg. We are here for sacrifice." Outside, Busola was laughing so hard in the car that she spilled her popcorn. Sandra saw her life flashing before her eyes. With all her strength, she grabbed her shoe, smashed the door handle, and bolted out. She ran out of the hotel room, down the hall, and into the street barefoot. Her wig flew off behind her. She didn't stop or look back. Tunde came out from behind the curtain, laughing uncontrollably. "We did it." Johnson wiped chalk off his face. "I need an award for this." The two of them dropped on the bed, laughing like fools. That night, Tunde and Busola went back home quietly. But while Busola slept like a baby, Tunde barely slept. Every sound felt like thunder. Every footstep outside made him peep through the window like someone expecting the police. Even though Sandra had fled like a thief at midnight, he wasn't convinced she wouldn't return with a pastor or a cutlass or even both. The next morning, Busola stretched, yawned, and walked into the living room looking fresh. "Good morning, Mr. Sacrifice," she said with a smirk. Tunde looked up nervously from the couch. But what if she comes back? Busola sat down calmly and poured herself a cup of water. "She's not coming back," Busola said. "She won't even step foot into this town again. But just be sure, call her." Tunde's eyes widened. "Call who?" Busola calmly sipped her water. "You will call her. Put it on speaker. We will finish it properly." Tunde took a deep breath, picked up his phone and dialed. Just when he thought she wouldn't answer, Sandra's voice came through, sharp, nervous, and defensive. "Tunde, don't call this line ever again in your life. Why did you run last night?" he asked, pretending to be hurt. "You left me there. You even offended the high priest." "I rebuke you." Sandra screamed so loudly the speaker shook. "You are mad. I am a child of God. I have already packed my bags. I'm leaving this town. You and your high priest will never see me again. If you try me, I will call my pastor and call down fire from heaven. Don't call me again, you devil." With that, she ended the call and blocked his number. Busola fell off her chair laughing. "I told you, if I handle her, she would change her name and run from the city." That night, Tunde cooked noodles for the family to show appreciation. As he served it, Busola crossed her leg and looked him dead in the eye. "Listen carefully. The next time you put your head in fire, I will help the fire burn you completely." Tunde nodded obediently. "I won't try it again, I swear." Johnson came over on Sunday afternoon with a cooler of catfish pepper soup. He greeted Busola with both hands together and said, "Madam, I respect you. You deserve an award for the wife of the year. I'm telling you." Busola smiled. "No problem. Just make sure you keep your advice to yourself next time." Johnson nodded quickly. "Yes, ma. No more advice for me. From now on, it's only drink water and mind your wife." They all laughed. That night, Tunde stood by the window, looking out into the calm Ibadan night. He thought about how close he had come to losing everything: his home, his wife, and even his sanity, all for careless words, for a few minutes of stolen attention. He shook his head and told himself, I had been a foolish man. From now on, I'll be the priest of this house, and there will be no female ushers in my ministry. Thank you for watching this story. Kindly share your thoughts in the comment section. What did you love most about it? If you enjoyed the story, give it a thumbs up and share it with your friends. And don't forget to subscribe to this channel if you haven't already. Bye.